Hi everybody, and welcome to the Suburban Garage Workshop. We're in a little different setting. We're actually down in my office in the basement, and this is where I work during my day job, the job that actually pays the bills. But there's a new addition to the family. I bought a 3D printer. This is the Anycubic Mega S 3D printer. Now, I'm new to 3D printing. I know very little about 3D printing. I've been watching it for years. The printers were always outside of my price range or more than I wanted to spend because I don't have a practical need as far as I'm not going to make things and sell things. So anything I do with a 3D printer is going to be for my own use. But this printer was recommended by another maker who used it on his channel, and so I looked at it on Amazon and put it in my kind of save for later wish list kind of cart. And this came up last week on a lightning deal for under $200. And I figured this printer had lots of good reviews. It's been on the market for almost 2 years. It's stable. I don't see anyone with major issues with it. It's been used by other makers and other woodworking channels to make things. And it came up under $200, which is cheap for the features this has. And this is not a 3D printer review. But I want to show you some of the things you could make with a 3D printer and why it can be useful in a workshop. Not only can you make things like brackets and tool holders and stuff. Today, I'm going to print something, my first real print versus just the test prints that come with this printer. And I'm going to make router insert rings because my router table came with one insert ring. And when I've had to use projects that use bigger bits, it's become a problem. I've actually had to make router table insert rings out of MDF or something of that nature, or masonite, but I actually want a set of real rings, and the rings are expensive. I mean, you go buy a set of rings, they're like, I don't know, some of these rings are like $10 to $20 for a single ring, and it's just, I'm not going to spend that. I'm cheap. But with a 3D printer and a thing called Thingiverse where you can download tons of free things that someone else has already created, I can make my own rings. So let's get to it. Thanks.
So here's the Thingiverse website, and you can scroll through all kinds of different items and you can search for things. In this case, what I'm going to do is go to the top here and I'm going to search for router rings or router insert plates, something of that nature, and see what results I get back. And once I get the results back, I can kind of scroll through and try to find a set of router rings that look very similar to the ones I have. I've got this plate from Rockler, and it uses a 3-hole router ring. So I need to kind of scroll through until I find the right router rings. Once I find the ring that looks like it fits, I can click on it, open up the website, I can look through what the images look like, and then I can download the various files that make up the 3 different types of rings. And that's what I've done here. So with the files downloaded and loaded into my 3D printer, the printing begins. Now this is sped up about 800 times. So I think this took about 4 hours to print one of these rings. So you can imagine it takes a little bit of time. And I had 3 of these rings to print, so that's about 12 hours of printing. So, speeding up is our friend here. So we're going to let it finish printing, and here's the results. And here we have 3 different size router rings that probably cost me about $2 or less in filament to print. So back out in the garage, I'm going to go ahead and open up my router table. And then let's go ahead and zoom in on my existing router plate. And this is the plate that came with my router table. I only have one plate, and I've used it for everything. And you can see that these bits are kind of too small. They should be using a smaller router plate for the small bits. It's probably okay for this size bit. That one's fine. But I've got this huge bit. Like this one's still okay. It barely fits, but maybe okay. But I've got this huge panel bit that I've used. And it doesn't fit at all, and it needs to be down pretty low to be flush. So what I've had to do in the past is actually make my own router rings out of thin hardboard. And you can see here, I've made this router ring out of 3 hardboard. And it's not an exact science as far as trying to cut these and get them the right size, and they don't fit gridded, and I've had to sand them down to fit. It's just kind of a pain. But now with these 3D printed plastic rings, I can make any size I want. I can alter the 3D files if I need to, or I can use them right off of Thingiverse as is. And so here's my 3 different rings. And I did make sure before I downloaded and then print these that the diameter of these rings match the diameter of my existing ring, which is 4 inches, and they do. So let's go ahead and install this first ring and see how it fits. Looks like it's a nice fit in the plate. Obviously, I'll still need to level it, but the bits fit great. I mean, it's definitely a nice tighter fit around the actual bit. And the other 2 plates fit their respective bits quite well also. So you can see with a little bit of printing, we kind of increased the utility of our router table with a 3D printer. So it's kind of a great little add-on, and it didn't cost us very much once the printer's been purchased, just a little bit of filament. But what else can we do with the 3D printer? Well, for those of you who use a gripper push block, Microjig sells these little heel attachments that go on the push block. And this allows this heel to drop down. It's called a gravity heel. This kind of drops down and allows you to push stock through the actual table saw or even a router table. They work great. And it comes with 4 of these little heels. The problem is these heels get chewed up by the saw blade, and they're supposed to do that because it's supposed to support the back edge of the wood and prevent blowout and things of that nature. But they get chewed up, and then you've got to go buy more of these. Well, with a 3D printer, we could make our own. So what I've done here is print the consumable piece of this heel kit. Now you still need to buy the heel kit to have the other parts, but with the 3D printer, I can replace these heel kits, so once I've chewed up the 4 the kit comes with, I can make a lifetime supply of these on my own. And they're pretty easy to do. These take about, I don't know, I think they were 2 hours to print, and I printed 2 of them at the same time. So I can print a whole new set whenever I need to.
So you can see a 3D printer has various applications that can help you in your workshop. Now, it's not like you're replacing your woodworking with 3D printing, and you don't got to go out and buy a super expensive 3D printer. The one I'm using, I printed all these parts, and you know, this was a sub $200 printer. And I'll put a link down below on what printer I bought and various information about the printer and where I got things. But I wanted to show this, how these kind of printers can be used to do things in the workshop. Let me show you one more thing I made. I made this. And what is this, you ask? It's got a cleat on it for French cleat walls, so I can hang it right on my French cleat wall. But now, I have somewhere for these bench cookies from Rockler to go. These things used to always float around my workbench. I would drop them on the floor, and I'd have nowhere for them to go. Now I do. And I printed this. Now this was actually my longest print. So the one thing about 3D printers is, unless you're spending a lot of money, they're not very fast. This thing I let print overnight. It took 12 hours to print that. But all together, you know, I printed all this stuff, and I probably only used, I don't know, a quarter of a spool of filament. You know, you're buying filament and it comes in these 1 kilogram spools. I only used about a quarter of it, so I still have 3/4 of a spool left that I could print a whole bunch more stuff with when I want to use it. And it comes in all different colors. I just bought gray because I figured, what the heck, utility gray? That's what I'm using it for utility projects. I might buy some other colors when I want to build some other projects. Maybe I buy yellow and do Grr-ripper yellow or DeWalt yellow. I don't know. Anyway, this is just a quick video to show you what you can do with a 3D printer and how it can enhance your workshop in ways you didn't think of. The great thing is Thingiverse. If I was to have to actually create all these in 3D modeling software, I'd still be downstairs trying to figure out the software. All this stuff existed on Thingiverse. All I had to do is download the files, run it through the slicing program that comes with my 3D printer, and it prints. It takes a while. It's not fast, but it's pretty neat. And you can be in the workshop doing other things while these things are printing. Anyway, I hope you found this video informative. If you like my style of videos, click that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe and click that bell, and that'll let you know when I come out with another video. Leave me a comment. I read all your comments, and I try to reply to everything. Anyway, thanks again. See you next time. Get out in the garage and build something. Bye.